Is going on, Rebel fans, and welcome back to another Running with the Rebel show. I'm your host, Rafael Gonzalez, as always, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Before we get started, if you enjoy the content, if you're liking what we're doing here, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. It means a whole lot to this channel to help it grow and be successful. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Write down in the comments on the down below what you dislike, what I can do better, so I can try to make this show the best as possible. But welcome back, guys, to the Week 10 preview show here. And last week was a doozy. I don't, I hate to be that guy that's like I told you so, but you know, uh, week after week I was saying, and I kept repeating myself that if the defense doesn't show up, we're gonna lose one of these games here soon. And it happened, man. It happened. You know what I'm talking about? The offense puts 31 points up on the board. You really can't ask for much else. I know, Calandra had a pick six, but he doesn't really have a lot of time in the backfield because offensive line and pass protection is the greatest. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But those were one of those games where I said it's going to bite you and come back to bite you if you keep giving up the amount of yards and keep giving up the amount of big plays that our defense has been giving up all year. And it hurt. It hurt us there in a big game again. We lose to Boise. Haven't beat them since they've been in the Mountain West, I don't think. And who knows the next time that we play them? It's rough. So hopefully we can make it back to the Mountain West Conference Championship game and get things going again. Our offense wasn't the greatest last game either, but they always seem to do enough to put 30 points on the board. I think we've scored 30 points in every single game that we've played this year, if I'm not mistaken. And so it really falls down on the defense to be successful and try to get some big stops. They need to man up, make some big stops. Paul Gunther needs to make some kind of changes, like I've been saying the past few weeks. I don't know if it's due to scheme or less complexity or whatever the case may be, but we need to switch something up to allow the kids that we have on this defense at this moment to succeed because honestly, it might be one of the worst defenses that we had in a very long time. I'm talking about before Odom era and things like that. This might be on par with some of the defenses that we had in the past when we were really bad. And the only saving grace that this defense has is they're kind of ball hawks and kind of can be in the right place in the right time to get turnovers. And it's gonna hurt us in the future, I think, again too. I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but just to go over some things to show you guys, um, this defense is really bad unless turnovers. And where's turnovers at here? Here. So turnover margin, as you can see, we're third in the nation in turnover margin. We do a good job of getting to the ball when the ball's on the ground. Air Force game's a perfect example. That wasn't necessarily a forced turnover by us. It wasn't necessarily anything that our defense did, but once the ball was on the ground, Marcel McDuffie and Amaris Brown are a big contribution to that, or a big part of that. They seem to be in about 80% of the turnovers, whether it be creating the turnover or getting the fumble recovery or the interception. They're about 80% of the turnovers that we have, I think, if I remember the stat correctly. Um, but we do a good job in that aspect. It is a team sport, right? And they do a good job in that aspect. The Wyoming game, not the Boise game. It was a turnover on special teams, and so special teams came up again last game a little bit, right? Recovered a special teams fumble. The Wyoming game, they got a couple blocks, right? But we do a good job of being opportunistic and putting our offense in good spots to be able to score. But other than that, when it comes to getting traditional stops, to stopping people, right, and getting a 3 and out or getting a big stop on a big drive late, it's something that the defense can't do, and it seems to be hurting us now going into this final stretch of the season. I think it will come back to bite us again. If our defense doesn't step up here and play well, we have an opportunity to lose some games, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here. But I just want to go over the stats, and as you can see, turnovers per game, average turnovers per game, we average 1.43 turnovers per game here, if you can see on the screen, and that's for third best in the nation when it comes over to turnover margin. But the defense, like I've been saying in past videos, like I said earlier in this video already, they need to step up in other aspects of the game if we want to be a successful, right, top half championship contending team in the Mountain West Conference. And it's going to be tough. I think if we want to get back to the Mountain West Conference Championship this year, we're going to have to win out because other teams have paths that benefit them as well. San Diego State doesn't play Boise or us this year, right? And so the rest of the year they have a really good path to be there. And so we're going to need one of them, Boise or San Diego State, preferably San Diego State, to trip up at one point sometime in this year And San Diego State's defense looks really, really good this year. They're very sound. They win a lot of their games by their defense stopping opponents and not scoring. I think they won one game was a shutout, I believe. Right, another game they only gave up 6 points, I believe. That defense looks really stout. Sean Lewis, some people thought he wasn't going to pan out, wasn't going to be the best thing, and he turns out to be looking pretty decent right now, at least defensively. They might need a new offensive quarter, like we need a new defensive coordinator. They tend not to score like a ton of points, but their offense does enough for them to win the games, and they've been winning games in considerable fashion. They've been winning them a lot better than we've been winning our games. I'll say that, and so. We're going to need them to slip up if we want to get back to the Mountain West Championship game, in my opinion. Like I said, San Diego State doesn't play us or Boise, so they have kind of an easy road to get there. I'm not going to say easy because you have to win the games that are in front of you. They didn't make the schedule, right? They just have to play the schedule. But it's going to be a lot easier for them, in my opinion, than it is for us. We have a couple games coming up that I think are going to be tough, and one of those games is New Mexico. I know this ESPN predictor rating right here says 70% that we're going to win the game. I think this game's going to be a lot closer, just like all our other games than some people imagine. A lot of people are saying they take the Rebels on the rebound. This game opened at 5.5. It's down to 3.5. So to me, that tells me, I used to work in the book for 6 years. This tells me that the Sharps think that New Mexico is the play here, in my opinion. And I hate to say this. I really, really hate to say this because I'm one of the biggest Rebel fans out there when it comes to UNLV football, UNLV basketball. Basketball's coming up too. We just had our exhibition game on Tuesday. I was not able to go because we had flag football practice for my son, but flag football is ending here soon. Not next week, but the end of the next week. So Saturday of next week will be our last game. And so I'll have a little bit more time on my hand to not only give you one UNLV football video, but also one UNLV basketball video. And I'll probably do that at the beginning of the week. We'll probably do that on Monday. And we'll talk about UNLV basketball, what I see, what I like from the team, our upcoming opponents, how I see us shaking, how things shake things out and things like that. And so stay tuned for that. But going back to football here, I know a lot of people think we might win this game. This game's going to be a lot tougher, and I'm going to explain why here in just a second. But to me, the defense needs to make some plays. We don't get enough pressure in the backfield. We don't get enough tackles for losses. We don't get enough sacks. Big ups to Adelaide. In the last game, he was able to get in the backfield, get a sack, and what do you know? Look at this. We have a defensive lineman that's on the sack leaderboard on ESPN now, on top of our stats, not just ESPN, but any stat sheet that you'll look at, you'll see Adelaide's tied with Amaris Brown with 2 sacks on top there. So, and they're going to put the defensive lineman first, of course, but he's tied with Amaris Brown. So, still not ahead of him, but at least we were able to get into the backfield one time last game and get a sack. We need more of that, though. And I just want to show you here, team sacks. As a team, we are 120th in the nation. If it wasn't for Adelaide's sack last game, we'd probably be somewhere down here in the .88 range with Georgia Southern, South Alabama, Western Kentucky, Eastern Michigan, and UCLA. And funny enough, UCLA's down here, who we played earlier in the season too. But we need more pressure in the backfield. And then some people will say, oh, well, that's just sacks, They seem to get more pressure otherwise. No, team tackles for loss. I just want to show you again as well. We're tied for 115th in the nation with only 4.1 tackles for loss in the nation. And again, I think we got 1 sack and like 1 tackle for loss last game. It could have been more tackles for loss last game, but we don't get the sack or anything like that. We're hovering around the 3.9 range and in that 127 to 129, 130 range, right? We need to be able to apply more pressure up front with the defensive linemen. Maybe we send more blitzes on linebackers. I don't know, but if you do send blitzes, guys need to be able to get there. They need to be able to hurry the quarterback. If they do, they need to be able to make a tackle on a running back in the backfield every once in a while. These are the things that set you up for 2nd and long, 3rd and long, to get those 3 and outs, to get those big stops that you need. And I just don't see a ton of that happening on this team right now. And that kind of makes me nervous because New Mexico, in my personal opinion, has a good defense. Probably the best defense that we're going to see this year. As you can see, Boise scored 41 on them, and they had a bad game against San Jose State. But if you look at their other games, they've held their opponents to 21 or 22, I should say, and under, because Reno got fucking. I was gonna say Nevada, but we're gonna call them Reno. But Reno got 22 on them, and nobody else has really got over 22 on them. They're a stout defense, in my opinion. They were in the game late with Michigan. late, going into the fourth quarter. I believe it was a 1 or 2 score game. It was like 7 or 10 points, I believe, going into the fourth quarter. They were in that game late. Michigan kind of pulled away in that fourth quarter and made it more of a blowout. But this team has a really, really good defense, and if a team can come and shut our offense down, which is our shining spot and what helps us win games every day, and if they can shut us down and not let us score 31 points, or more in a game, or 30 points or more in a game, right? Hold us to 24 or 27 or something like that, and their their offense, defense, and their offense can come out and just every once in a while put a touchdown on the board, right? One touchdown a quarter gets you 28 points, right? And you add in a couple field goals, next thing you know, you're at 31-34, and we lose that game. We lose this game, and I hate to say it, but I think this defense might give our offense a little bit of fits. I'm not saying they're going to completely shut us down. I'm not going to say they're going to dominate us, but if you look at like-minded or similar opponents that we've had in the past. They played Idaho State. We played Idaho State. They beat Idaho State by 10. We beat Idaho State by what was it, 3 or 7? I believe it was. It was 7. They played UCLA. We played UCLA. We only beat UCLA by 7. They absolutely blew out UCLA at UCLA, right? And so if you're just looking at similar opponents, right, and how we fared against each team, and this is going to be a very, very tough game. This is one of the small handful of games that I think that we might lose again coming down the stretch of the season because of how our defense have played. Like I said, the game's coming up. Maybe our offense doesn't play that well, right? But I mean, you really can't put things on the offense when they've been doing so well this season. If they were to come out and have a bad game against one of the best defenses that we played this year, the defense needs to step up and make plays. I keep saying it over and over and over again, but it's the truth. We need to step up and make plays. Total defense, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I showed you guys sacks, tackles for loss. I showed you turnover margin, right? And just total defensive yards given up in a game. This is sad for a defense. This is sad. Usually defenses in this region, right, have a lot more losses. You have Air Force, you have Sam Houston State. Those are both teams that we've played that have really, really bad records. Charlotte's not having the best season. Kent State's not having the best season. Eastern Michigan's really not having the best season, right? They're hovering around 500. Usually teams in this category here, right, hovering around 500 or below. We've been very lucky because we've had such a great offense, and the defense has been opportunistic in turnovers. The only thing the defense has done well is the turnover margin battle, is getting those turnovers, right? And like I said, sometimes it's not us creating or forcing the turnovers, right, and making a big play, but having the awareness when someone makes a mistake and drops the ball, right, or makes a bad throw, being in the right spot at the right time to make those plays. But they need to step up in this aspect, right? Keep doing what they're doing in the turnover department, but they need to step up in this aspect and get big stops. Stop people on third downs. Stop people in the backfield on first and second down to set up those plays, right? Not give up big plays when it's 2nd and 14 or 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 13 or whatever the case may be, over 10 yards, right? Don't give up those big plays for 10, 15, 20 yards. Boise had, if I saw the stat correctly, I believe someone said 14 plays, 14 of 19 yards or more against us. That's 1/3 of some teams' offenses that they run in a game. 1/3 of their plays, right? I don't know how many plays Boise ran offensively. Probably there's more than a little bit. Probably that's a little less than 1/3. Excuse me. They probably ran in the 60 range just because they were on the field a lot. But maybe not, because they scored a lot of times in 2, 3, 4 plays against us that game. So they might have ran only 50-something plays. And if that's the case, 14 plays of 19 yards or more is unacceptable for a defense if you want to be successful, right? We need to have something that motivates these guys defensively, simplify the defensive scheme, right? Whether it's just, running man on the outside with the corners with a cover 1 or a cover 2 over the top, right? I don't know, blitzing more, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not in practice. I don't know what works well for some of these players, what doesn't work well for some of these players. But what I do know is that whatever we have been doing, not only just last game against Boise, because a lot of people started just talking about last game against Boise, but if you go back and watch my videos, I've been saying this every week since like the UCLA game, right? The Idaho State game. I said, hey, maybe it was just a fluke. We were getting together as a team, and you can make that excuse. Oh, it's a brand new team. We only have one returning starter on defense, one returning starter on offense. They're just getting used to each other, blah, blah, blah. But when this happens, week 10, this is week 10, and we don't have 10 games under our belt because we've had 3 buys because we played week 0. But when you've had 10 weeks to work on it, plus summer camp, plus spring ball, right? It's something that's fundamentally wrong now. We can say that, right? That needs to be fixed. So they need to get this together. If they can, we listen. If we even I stated this in previous videos as well. If we could just be average on defense, right? 300, 350 yards given up, still a decent 350 to 400 even, right? If you give it 350 to 400, right? That's still quite a bit of yards for an offense to get, right? But we would blow out some of the teams that we've faced in the past, right? And that's what we need to do as a defense. We don't need to strive for perfection, right, and be perfect, and we don't need to be like this all-stopping defense, right? But we need to hold teams under that 400 yards given up range to put them in tough fourth down spots if they want to go for it, to put them in long field goal kicks, right? If they're in field goal range, to put them in them tough situations so that we can succeed on defense. And we just haven't really been able to do that. So hopefully that's something that we can do in the past. In the future, excuse me. Video's running kind of long, but with the loss last week, I wanted to talk about it. And the game coming up this week, I wanted to talk about that as well. I wanted to give you guys the update on the UNLV basketball. So I got all that information in. We're going to move to predictions now. And like I was stating earlier, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, before we go into full predictions, I want to go back here and just show you guys. We have New Mexico, Colorado State, Utah State, Hawaii, and Nevada, a.k.a. Reno. They shouldn't just be called Nevada. They should be called the University of Nevada, Reno, just like we're the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I know some Reno fans are going to be like, no, we're in Nevada. Our athletics is called Nevada. We're both called the Universities of Nevada. Get used to it. You guys are Reno. Put Reno in your name. You can still keep Nevada. Just put Nevada, Reno. That's all you got to do. Don't be ashamed of it. Take pride where you come from. But anyways, this New Mexico game coming up is going to be a difficult one for us. I think it's going to be one of the more difficult games that we have on the schedule coming up. This Hawaii game is going to be very difficult for us too, in my personal opinion. Hawaii's got a very good offense. It's going to be one of those shootout games again. I believe their defense isn't the greatest. Utah State's defense is pretty bad. I think we could score a ton of points on them, and as long as our defense can make 1 or 2 big stops, we can win that game in the fashion that we've been winning games most of this year. But I'm gonna tell you guys this right now: this Reno game is gonna be more difficult than a lot of people perceive. I know Reno's really, really, really bad, but when rivalry games come around, kids get up for it. They get excited for it. They play hard. When they played Boise just this last week, when we were on a bye, it was 10-3 at the half, and I'll show you guys here. It was 10-3 at the half, and they only gave up 24 points to Boise. Look at the difference in point that we gave up, right? I'm gonna tell you this right now. Reno's offense is really, really bad, like I said. So hopefully the defense can step up like they did in the Wyoming game against another okay/bad offense and play well, right? But like I said again, kids tend to get up for rivalry games just like we get up for them. They get up for us. It's going to be a lot more difficult, right? And I hope that we don't make their quarterbacks, whether it's Purdy or the freshman that they're playing, and we don't make them look like an all-star and they get 28 points on us and make it a competitive game. They only lost to Fresno by 3. They've been in some close games, right? Their defense is much better than ours, right? And so this game is going to be a lot closer than people perceive. These 3 games, in my opinion, the New Mexico, Hawaii, and the Reno game, are going to be tough. They're going to be tough. We're going to have to play our best ball to win, right? I think even though it's on the road at Colorado State and then the home game against Utah State, I think we win these games. It might be in the fashion how we've won most of our games this year, very high-scoring games where we win by like 7, 3, 10, whatever the case may be, right? But I think we have enough offensive firepower, and their defenses aren't that good enough to keep up with us, right? And so it helps our defense to only get a couple stops, right, for us to win these games. But we're going to need more than just a couple stops for the New Mexico, Hawaii, and the Reno game, in my personal opinion. These are going to be the 3 games that determine whether we are in or out of the Mountain West Conference Championship. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm a huge Rebel fan. This video is going on 20 minutes now. I like to try to keep my videos shorter so it's easier to consume for you guys. But I just have a lot on my mind these last couple weeks since we had the bye week last week. But, unfortunately, for the prediction for the New Mexico game, I think New Mexico beats us. I think their defense does enough, comes out and is prepared and hyped. They're one game away from bowl eligibility. They're 5-3. They haven't been to a bowl game in a while. I think a few years. It's not as long as us when we did. We haven't gone before the last couple years, right? But I don't think they've been to a bowl game in a while. They're 5-3 right now. It's a big game for them to put them over the hump and be at 6 wins to get to a bowl game. I think they're going to be up and ready for this game on the road in Allegiant Stadium. And I think it's going to be a tough game. And if their defense, like I said, can come and shut down our offense, or even stutter our offense and make it sputter and stutter a little bit, and we only get like 24 or 27, and our defense plays the way they've played, and Lane, I believe that's the quarterback's name for New Mexico, right? And Lane doesn't do the turnovers that he's done. He has 8 turnovers here, as you can see, 8 interceptions, on the season. If he protects the ball and they're able to put 27 to 34 points on us, right, they have a real possibility to win the game. I hope that doesn't happen. This is like the 3rd or 4th time I've said that now. And I really hate to make a prediction that says we lose, but I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that says that this final score is going to be New Mexico 31, UNLV 27. Prove me wrong, Rebels. Please prove me wrong, right? And win this game. If we win this game, then we have a couple big games at the end of the season. I hope we take care of business against Colorado State and Utah State. Don't overlook those opponents, right? Even though they're struggling and not necessarily playing the best right now, right? And then we have 2 big games at the end of the year after that. If we can win New Mexico, win these 2, and we have 2 big games at the end of the year to finish the year. One at home against Hawaii, one on the road at Reno. But those are the 3 games that are making me a little bit nervous here. And I know, I like I said, I know it might be a hot take, and people say Reno, right? No, we're gonna blow them out. We're gonna destroy them. This, that, and the third. If our defense plays the way that we've been playing, I guarantee you that that's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a lot closer than you think. When you allow teams to just go all up and down the field on you, it's going to be a close game, right? And so that's my prediction. Like I said, prove me wrong, Rebels. 31-27 New Mexico, unfortunately. But like I said, if they do prove me wrong, we're still on the fast track to get into the Mountain West Championship game. We just need San Diego State probably to trip up so that way we can rematch Boise. I actually would have rather not have Boise slip up a couple times. I'd rather have the Aztecs slip up. We win out. We get another chance in Boise, right, for the Mountain West Conference Championship game. I want that redemption. I want us to play well. I want us to be up for that game and focused and make it a competitive game. I don't, even if we lose, I don't mind it if we play hard defensively, where we do everything that we can and maybe lose by a field goal or something like that. I just want it to be a more competitive game. It was disappointing in the way that we lost by losing by 25 in Boise. And so just make it a competitive game and a championship game. I'd be super happy with the way the season turns out. Even if we lose, even if we trip up once or twice down the road here, it's still an amazing season, right? We'll still win 9 or 10 wins on the year, hopefully, right? But hopefully we get to that 11-1 and get another shot and another rematch at Boise. That's the goal here. So we got to put that loss behind us. We got to focus up for this next game moving forward. And hopefully they do, and they have laser focus, and something has changed schematically, defensively to help the kids out and maybe get some stops or, bend but don't break, but we've been bending and then breaking. That we've been doing this year. It's okay if you give up some yards, like I said, 350 to 400, 425, but you make a couple key big stops and key moments, and that's something that we haven't been able to do. So hopefully the Rebels prove me wrong. Hopefully there's some hate comments underneath saying that I'm completely unhinged for predicting against the Rebels and then saying that the Reno game is going to be closer than it is. But that's just how I feel. The way we've been playing defensively has been struggling. So, that's it. If you guys are at the game Saturday, let me know. Go down in the comment section. I've been tailgating with my boy every week that we're at home, unless I have a flag football game. So we're going to be down there early again this week. I believe he's going to be down there tailgating. So we'll be down there probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that before the game starts. Maybe it's like a breakfast tailgate. I don't know. But hope to see everybody at the game. Come out. Enjoy yourselves. We're still 6-1 on the season. We still have a lot of upside to the season. If you haven't seen the Rebels yet, if you're watching this for the first time because you live in Vegas and you just want to know more about the team, come on out. We're better than the Raiders. I tell you that, even though we had a bad game last game. So give us, and it's a lot cheaper ticket to see the Rebels in Allegiant Stadium than it is to see the Raiders. So come on out. Come support your Rebels locally if you haven't already yet. And we'll see you guys Saturday. And, I'll see whoever is at the game Saturday, but I'll see you guys on the YouTube universe next week, Monday, because our Rebels have a game next week, I believe, or the next week after that. I got to double check the schedule. But Monday I'll come out. I'll preview the team a little bit. I know we had some exhibition games already and some people already talking about the team. I haven't seen them personally yet, so I would like to see them in person first to kind of give an opinion on how I feel about the team. But we will do a predictions. There's maybe not a predictions, but a preview show for the basketball before we get started for the basketball season. And I'll see you guys next Monday. You want to get in here, bro? You want to get in here? You got no shirt on. It's all right. It's all right. Put a shirt on real quick. Never mind. He's got no shirt on in the house. He was gonna get in here, but as always, y'all, UNLV, go fight, win. Hopefully they prove me wrong, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.